Hey guys, I wanted to give my thoughts on the upcoming fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. So the first question to me about this fight, about betting on this fight, which stands out is this fight rigged? Right, so Joshua's minus 1200, Jake Paul's plus 600. And I mean, I guess if it was rigged, I feel like it would, go the distance and Joshua would win a decision. You figure that way, Joshua wins a decision. Jake Paul can talk shit about how he went a full 8 rounds against Anthony Joshua, and then Joshua isn't embarrassed for losing to Jake Paul, so they both kind of leave the fight happy and whatever. The thing that does kind of stand out to me though is Joshua is doing like a weight cut, so he has to lose 10, or he has to come down 245 pounds for the fight. So I'm kind of thinking, well, if the fight was rigged, why would Joshua have to do a weight cut, right? Like, wouldn't it just be Jake Paul versus Joshua? The fight goes the distance, whatever. The weight cut makes me think that it isn't rigged, and that, Jake Paul feels he's at, obviously a big disadvantage, and he needs some sort of edge or advantage. So having Joshua lose, 10 or 15 pounds is gonna make the fight more fair. So because there's a weight cut, it kind of makes me think it's not rigged. So because it's not rigged, then I think Joshua should definitely knock him out. And I think the bet to make would be Joshua by knockout, which I think is minus 400 or minus 500. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to make that bet or not. I mean, that would be the bet to make, but yeah, I'm worried that gets rigged, or I don't know. I'm worried like neither guy's going to try and hurt each other or something. I don't know how dumb this fight's going to end up being. But I do kind of want to talk about if the fight wasn't rigged, then I don't think this fight should even be allowed to take place. That's the other kind of makes me think it should be rigged, because I mean, Jake Paul has essentially never fought at heavyweight. He fought Mike Tyson at heavyweight, where they were using big 14-ounce gloves, 2-minute rounds, and obviously Tyson's 58, so it was kind of like a joke of a fight, right? And I mean, still that fight seems like it was probably rigged too. Whereas Jake Paul, his last fight, he fought a cruiserweight, I think it was cruiserweight fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who hadn't fought in a while and was in and out of rehab. So that was pretty much of a joke fight. And then Jake Paul, I don't think he's had any fights against a full-time professional boxer other than his fight against Tommy Fury. I know he had some fights against other maybe journeyman boxers that are part-time boxers or something, who he knocked out pretty quickly. And then he's had a lot of fights against UFC guys. He's had a lot of fights against guys making their pro debuts. So yeah, I think the only full-time boxer Jake Paul fought was Tommy Fury, and I think that fight was at light heavyweight. I don't know, so I don't understand how this fight against Joshua, assuming it's not rigged, is even being sanctioned. It seems pretty crazy to me. I don't know, it's funny too with this fight coming up. Part of me kind of feels like you only need to watch the first round of the fight, because if the fight's not rigged, Joshua's just going to knock him out pretty brutally in the first round. Whereas if the fight is rigged, then it's going to be pretty clear after the first round that Joshua's not trying hard or something. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch it, obviously. Whatever, I'm kind of am interested. I guess a few things maybe stand out about Joshua. I mean, first of all, he took a really big beating against Daniel Dubois. I mean, he got knocked down he took a really big shot at the end of the first round, and then he was pretty much out after that. But because he's such a big, strong guy, he was able to survive another 4 rounds and got knocked out in the 5th. But he took a ton of punishment. Watching that fight actually kind of reminded me of Wilder. The amount of punishment Joshua took in that fight reminded me of what Wilder experienced in his 3rd fight against Fury, where he just took so many huge shots for a whole fight, and he was never the same. So I do kind of think Joshua will never be the same after what he endured against Daniel Dubois. But even with all of that, I mean, at the end of the day, Joshua's still a professional fighter with a record of 28-4. His 3 losses, he's lost to Andy Ruiz, twice to Usyk, and to Dubois, which are all reasonable losses, or tough heavyweights. besides those losses, he's beat a ton of top competition, and he's still. I don't know where you'd rank Joshua, but in my eyes, he should still technically be like a top 10 heavyweight in the world. So it seems, whatever, other than Jake Paul's fight against Tyson, which doesn't even really count as a fight because it was 2-minute rounds with 14-ounce gloves. Essentially, Jake Paul is making his heavyweight debut against Anthony Joshua, which just seems insane to me. I'm kind of curious, I kind of think I don't know, there's part of me that has this feeling that just with the whole influencer culture and all this celebrity boxing and this and that this is kind of just what can happen when things get out of hand. So, Jake, if it's a real fight, things have gotten out of hand to the point where Jake Paul believes he can beat Anthony Joshua and he's going to get knocked out really brutally. And maybe it's going to make everyone take a step back and be like, all right, this has to stop. We can't have these fights anymore. And it makes me wonder, Jake Paul could get seriously hurt. I mean, so if me personally, I always think physically I'm kind of similar to Jake Paul. And I just imagine, if I started training boxing 5 years ago and I took a bunch of HGH and steroids, whatever, because I'm 180 pounds if I'm fit. So I imagine if I took a bunch of steroids, whatever, and HGH, maybe I'd weigh 200 or 210 or whatever. And then it kind of makes me think this would be not much different than me fighting Anthony Joshua. I just think that seems crazy. I don't know. I guess I don't really know what else to say about this fight. I'm kind of curious what people think. I mean, just reading comments on YouTube and stuff, or even just hearing people in interviews. I think I saw Wilder interviews, if it's not rigged, then Joshua knocks him out easily. Whereas if it is rigged, then, I guess I'm betting Jake Paul. So it seems like a lot of people think it's rigged. And there's a lot of people I talk to that say, Jake Paul would never agree to take this fight if he didn't know, he wouldn't, if he knew, or if he didn't know he wouldn't get hurt or something. If he knew for a fact he wouldn't get hurt. I don't know, it just it seems insane to me. I'm assuming Jake Paul's gonna get, like I say, if it's not rigged, then actually, a fight I was thinking of recently, just about in terms of comparing this fight to that fight, I remember Bruce Seldon against Mike Tyson, where it seemed like Bruce Seldon was fighting Tyson. They were both champions. Tyson was pretty much in his prime, and Seldon came into the ring and instantly just felt Tyson's power, and kind of looked like he took a dive or something after just feeling how strong Tyson was. He didn't want to actually get him knocked out. He kind of took a dive, and I kind of think that's what could happen. I think Jake Paul could go in there, feel Joshua's power. If it's a real fight, go in there, feel Joshua's power, and then decide to take a dive, or get really scared. I don't know. I just don't understand. Because, like I said, if it's not rigged and it just doesn't make sense. I'm assuming Jake Paul can hit pretty hard, but I don't think he can even hit hard enough to knock out Joshua. And if you look at if people say things Joshua's kind of chinny or something, or he's always had a weak chin, I've actually never believed that. If you watch Joshua's career, anytime he's been knocked down, he took huge shots. I've always thought his defense is kind of weak, or slow reflexes or something. I don't really think he has a questionable chin, because he took a huge shot from Klitschko, he took a huge shot from Andy Ruiz, and in that fight he still managed to go on and fight, I think 3 more rounds or 4 more rounds after that huge shot. And then he took a huge shot from Dubois, and after taking that huge shot, the same thing, he fought 4 more rounds before the fight was stopped. So I don't think Joshua has a bad chin. I just think his defense is kind of weak. But I don't know. I can't imagine Jake Paul hits that hard. People make it sound like he hits really hard. I mean, it's one thing to say he hits hard at 175 against guys he's knocked out or whatever. So I think Jake Paul's going to knock out Joshua. Seems insane to me. Anyway, so like I say, if the fight's rigged, then I'm assuming it's going to go decision and Joshua will win on points. If it's not rigged, then Joshua, I'm assuming, knocks him out within the first 3 rounds, probably. I think round 2, if I had to bet, I feel like Joshua knocks him out within let's just say Joshua probably knocks him out the second round. kind of curious. I'm excited to watch the fight. And like I said, there is a part of me that kind of thinks like Jake Paul's going to get brutally knocked out, and people are going to say like this influencer boxing thing has gone on too far, and commissions are going to. I don't know. I can't believe like a commission could sanction this fight. If you look at Jake Paul's career and his record, there's no way he should be allowed to even fight Anthony Joshua. So the fight is in Miami, so it made me think, again, that one reason it could not be rigged is maybe there's like different laws, and they, Vegas wouldn't sanction this fight, or Texas wouldn't sanction this fight, but Florida would. So maybe that. And yeah, and the weight cut thing does make me think it's not rigged, because I don't see why Joshua would agree to cut weight if it was just like a rigged fight that's going to go the distance or whatever. But anyways, I mean, I'll let you guys know if I do end up betting. I don't think I will. I'm definitely going to watch it, but I don't think I think the bet to make would be Josh. I mean, I guess Joshua money line is safe, but minus 1,200 is like, I don't think I've ever made a bet that was under minus 800. So I don't even think I would bet minus 1,200, but I guess minus 1,200 is fine if you want to take that bet. So yeah, I think that's probably the bet to make would be Joshua minus 1,200, because if it was rigged, I can't imagine it's rigged for Jake Paul to win. I would assume it'd be rigged to go the distance, and then they would give it to Joshua on points. Yeah, that's all. I'm curious what you guys think, and I'm looking forward to the fight. And like I say, if it's not rigged, I think it's going to be a pretty brutal knockout from Joshua, unless Jake Paul gets in there, feels Joshua's power, panics, and takes a dive or something, which I also think could happen. All right, well, yeah, that's all for now. I'm curious what you guys think, and